Hi there, my name is Joanne Hasty and I'm an artist who uses a robotic arm in my fine art painting practice, and today I wanted to show you my latest painting with the robot and how I created it. So this painting is the largest painting I've done to date with my X-Arm 7. It is 12 inches wide by 16 inches tall, and the way I go about creating these paintings is I have Python code to generate compositions with shapes. It applies new colors. I use a classifier to help me decide if the composition is good or not, and then from the top ranked compositions I then go ahead and paint them. This one is interesting because it's a larger piece. I will show you the sped up version of me painting alongside it, and you will see at the beginning of the video I will be setting up the robot to define the new area. The other thing you will see that caught me off guard is when it paints any rectangular shape. So there's a trapezoid shape as well as a rectangle shape in this painting, and when it paints those shapes it actually cuts off the brush strokes that are off the page. However, when it's painting circular shapes, I just let the system go, and so when I was painting this half circle, you can see over here, it actually painted this whole circle. So I was a little bit on the edge of my seat wondering if the robot would be reaching too far. This painting was also interesting because these shapes in the middle are so close together. It didn't exactly turn out the way the composition that I was looking at did. I don't know if you can see it, that there's a circle pattern right there, and it was a bright yellow circle, and I spent so much time perfecting it and making sure it was a solid yellow because it was painted on some darker colors, and that whole shape ended up being covered up. Even though I have the composition ahead of time, a lot of things end up changing when it's on the exact painting. However, it does make an interesting pattern. I don't know if I can adjust the light. You can probably see that there was a circle there. So you can see some of the shapes that were there. You can also see that it has a circle that was the same color as the background over here. So here's the sped up version of me painting with the robot. I first go to all four corners and I type those coordinates into my code, and then the code calculates all of the positions of the things it's going to paint on the surface. Now, I let the code run without any paint, and I wanted to make sure that the first shape was put in the correct location, and that's why you saw it paint a little rectangle on the edge. Now I am mixing the paint. I use primary colors to mix all of the colors because in hopes that in the future I will get the robot to mix the colors for me, but for now I do that detailed work of the different amounts of paint. And I'm mixing the background color in a bigger container because I'm going to need more surface area because this is a larger piece, being 12 by 16. Now I will end up painting 2 coats of the background, but I'll put 1 coat down, then start the robot to paint, and then put the background in as we're painting together. So there's that first shape now with paint on the brush that the robot is holding. So the robot lays out the shapes and then I fill them in and color them in. I use that piece of hardboard as my straight edge just to try to get the edges a little bit straighter. And you'll notice me continually going back to yellow colors because they just need more layers of paint to get that bold yellow, especially if they're painted on top of a darker color like that turquoise in the background. So between colors, you'll notice that the robot cleans the brush. It dips it into water and then it goes back and forth on a sponge. And usually while it's washing the brush, I'm often with a hairdryer drying the paint so we can keep painting. I'm not sure why I keep saying we, because I do see the robot as a tool and not as its own presence or entity, and it's just what people say these days about robots, and I keep saying we, but I definitely see the robot as a tool that I've programmed to help me with these paintings. So with these larger paintings, it takes a lot more brush strokes to make one of these bigger shapes, and I have purchased bigger brushes since painting this painting, so hopefully the next one will go a little bit faster. So this was the shape I mentioned in the intro. It's actually going to paint it as if it's the full shape. So you can see it's actually starting and going off the table and closer to me. And I wasn't sure if it could reach that far, and it looked like it did all right. So since painting this painting, I mentioned I did visit the art store. So I did buy an 18 by 24, and I'm curious if I can do that full range. But for now, we're painting a 12 by 16. And that's the fun part of coding and painting with a robot, is each time I do a painting, I have ideas for ways to improve and tweak the code and try new things. So I also mentioned this yellow circle in the intro, that I did quite a few layers of yellow paint and it ends up getting covered. But at least you can see now that it was a bright yellow circle in the middle of the painting. And here's that yellow circle getting covered up. In the digital composition, that rectangle that I'm working on right now, it's not as big as it turned out. So it's interesting to pick a painting to work on and then see what it actually ends up painting. And I had to mix more of this color, and it turned out a slightly different dark pink, almost more of a red, but I just went with that color. I like the layered effect, even though it was a slightly different color. And this is the final shape. Just touching up some of the colors. I pulled out the brush, closing up the paints, and there's the painting. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing how this painting was created. My current project, I paint one of these a week, and that has been fantastic for my consistency of coding. So hit subscribe if you want to see the painting each week. The other thing that's new this week is I have posted these paintings available for sale in Etsy. So if you click on any of the paintings within this playlist, you can see the link to Etsy and you can purchase one of these. And in another video, I also show how I'm mounting these, because one thing about a flat panel is it's very difficult to hang on the wall. So I do think through of how to mount them, and that is on another video, but here is a framed one that has sold, and I'm really excited to send it to its collector. So it has all of the fasteners so you can hang it on the wall, and I'm really excited where this project's going. So thank you so much for coming along with me. Bye now.